Hello, my name is Taisha. I have been on Zepbound for 63 weeks and I'm back to give you an update. So, I'm going to go over a couple of quick things just to kind of get you caught up to speed if you're new here. I have been on Zepbound for 63 weeks. I spent the first 4 weeks on 2.5 milligrams. I have some notes today. During that time, I lost 18.8 pounds. And the rest of the time, I was on 5 milligrams, or I've been on 5 milligrams. Now, there was about a month ago, I met with my telehealth provider and he wanted me to try 2.5 and with the goal of spacing it out. That did not go well for me. I am back on 5 and things are stabilized. So, my highest weight was 216 pounds. When I started on Zepbound, I was 183 pounds, and my current weight is 128 pounds. So, and the lowest on this medication was 126. And yeah, so that's how that's been going. So, if you were here just for those numbers, there you are. My initial goal weight was 135 pounds, and I reached that in 25 weeks. So, when I got to week 27, I considered myself in maintenance. So, I've been in maintenance for 36 weeks. And I would have to say that the biggest part of this journey for me has been more about the non scale victories than the weight loss. But I'm starting with that because I know when I was out, combing the internet looking for other people's journeys, that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see, you know, how much weight did they lose? What did they look like before and after? So, recently in the community tab and on some other platforms, I put some pictures and some video footage of me from before. I try not to make that the sole focus because it is more it's about more than that, but I understand when you're actively in that process, that's what you want to see. You want to see, what did this person look like before? Do I look like this person? Is this person in a better health than all these things. So I have those things there. What I try to focus on with this channel is mainly about is the mindset shifts that are necessary to be successful long term, right? Because it's a lot easier to lose the weight, but at least my experience has been that it was a struggle to keep it off. Now, I am somebody who spent the majority of, let's say the majority, the first 2/3 of my life, I was relatively small. And I can't say that I was healthy. So if you were just to look at me, I was really slim, but I wasn't really healthy. I didn't have good habits. I struggled with a binge eating disorder. And so being on this medication, the first thing that I noticed was that the food noise was turned off. Now, for me, that happened on the first injection. It wasn't something that took, any time. But just know that even if it didn't go off for you, it's okay. You may just need a higher dose and take your time getting there, right? If you go on Eli Lilly's or Lilly's website, it says to be on a dose for 4 weeks before going up. So, for example, I was on the 2.5 milligrams and I went up to 5 after the 4 weeks and just stayed there because that was effective for me. Now, when my provider suggested that I go down, I tried it, right? Because he's the doctor. So I went down to 2.5 and I had, a series of things. And there's another video that I'll link that goes in detail about that. But ultimately, 5 milligrams is the dose for me. That's an effective dose. I don't struggle with, you know, finding myself obsessing about food or anything like that. I have to actually be intentional with making sure that I eat enough. Now, when I started this journey, I did not want to track food. I was against it. Times in the past, I had never been successful with it. But when I realized how much muscle I lost, I did not want that to continue to be the trend. So I started tracking, which brings me to my next point. Basically, I created an Instagram to be a food and exercise diary. So if you go to my Instagram page, which is simply underscore Taisha, you will see that I have every workout that I did since starting this journey. And I started my journey on February 21st of 2024. I started strength training, like regularly strength training on March 4th. And I believe I created my Instagram on March 5th. So it was the day after. So I'm missing that very first workout, but everything else is there. And I've done a bunch of different programs, throughout this. It's been over a year now, and that's all there if you want to see it. And it's a public page, so you don't necessarily have to follow me in order to see it. If you just want to take a glance, it's there. I'll get into the movement first. I was following when I first started Kira Mitlow. Her channel used to be called Strong Sisters United, and I just like it. I like working out from home. I don't want to have to go to a gym. So on a day like today where it's, gloomy and rainy outside and a lot colder than it than it was last week, that doesn't motivate me to want to go outside. But since I do everything from home, nothing on the outside affects me, because I'm able to do it from the comfort of my own home. And it's just YouTube videos. So I also have a walking pad, which is right there. And I get on that every single day. And that consistency of the walking started this year. I started the year off with a challenge that was actually by Lift with C. And part of that was walking for 30 minutes a day. So I just kept it going. After that 6 weeks, it was already like, it already became a habit for me. So that is something that I just keep on going. Now, recently, I added a 10-pound weighted vest. So I get on it and I'm doing that. Now, the walking pace usually ranges from 3 miles an hour to 4 miles an hour. And recently, I kind of dialed it back and I'm okay with 3.0 or 3.5. And I kind of felt myself kind of doing what I did last year in the summertime. I was walking for an hour a day with a friend of mine. We were doing that 6 days a week. And I just kept trying to get faster and faster and beat my time. And so I was able to catch that before I got out of hand. Like, yeah, I can walk faster, but I don't have to do that. It doesn't require that because the walking for me is not necessarily, I'm not looking at it with a specific goal in mind, like, okay, I got to walk fast because I'm trying to burn off. No, I'm just walking because it's good to have movement. And 30 minutes is plenty enough for me. So if you don't have a walking pad and let's say you don't want to go outside, you can walk from the comfort of your home. There are YouTubers that make videos that are specifically for that, where you're just kind of walking in place. You can watch, and if you don't want to use a YouTube, like follow a YouTuber for that, you can watch your favorite show and just kind of do some movement. So it doesn't have to require this, extreme stuff. Make it easy. The more simplistic you keep things, the better it's going to be for you to continue to do them long term. The current program that I'm doing right now, actually, tomorrow will be the beginning of week 6, is the 15-minute standing strength series. And that is by Kira Mitlow. And I've been enjoying that. If you're new to strength training, I'd say, just check it out. Check it out. It's 15 minutes and you don't have to worry about getting on the floor. So if you have some mobility issues, standing and kind of doing these exercises, just check it out and see if that works for you. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do next, but I will have that figured out before next week comes and I'll make sure to let you know. I am a vegan and I will always say this, that being a vegan doesn't equate to being healthy or being small or anything like that. It is really just about the animals. So when I started this journey, I cut out eating a whole bunch of processed and ultra processed foods. I don't want to say processed. I'll say ultra processed foods because anything that is not in its original form is considered processed, right? But I'm talking about like the junk food, the cookie dough, the faux meats, the faux cheeses, those types of things. I try to eat primarily whole foods, with the exception of like tofu, peanut butter, things like that. Those are processed, but they're not considered ultra processed foods. So that is a diet that works for me. And I'm saying diet, but it's just the way that I eat. So this is something that will be for the rest of my life. So I didn't go into it this time with how I've done things in the past where I'm going to eat a certain way until I get to a certain weight. And then, everything goes out the window because once you start eating the other stuff, of course, you want more of it. And it's very easy, or at least it was for me, to go back into old habits. So everything that I've done with this particular journey has been intentional. Even with the strength training, making sure that I'm not doing too much. I'll watch the entire program typically before I do it to make sure that it's something that is aligned with what I want to do. So the walking for 30 minutes a day and the strength training. Now, that's been 5 days a week with this particular program, but again, it's only 15 minutes a day. I've also done programs that are 45 minutes 3 times a week, and just things in between. So I prefer to keep things shorter because on the days, and they do come, where I don't feel like doing anything, it's a lot easier to push myself to do something that is, for example, let's say I have a 20-minute workout. The thing that I used to tell myself is you only have to do 5 minutes. So that's my way of, even if I don't feel like doing something, I tell myself just do 5 minutes. And so far, that would get me going and I would continue. So there hasn't been a time yet where I was like I did the 5 minutes and I stopped. But I'm giving myself that, right? We have to give ourselves grace and you build that into it so that you don't feel like, "Oh, I failed or I didn't do this." Okay? So you want to make things as easy as possible for yourself. So that's that. I created, again, the Instagram just to be a food and exercise diary. Recently, I created a Facebook page, and that is titled Simply Taisha Page, I believe. I'll put the link for that, and it's just a compilation of everything. So it's going to have um, everything from Instagram, not historically, just from when I created the page. And I share the YouTube videos onto Facebook. So, and there's other things that I'll put in. I'll put in some quotes and things like that. But I'm trying to put myself in different areas and that make it easier for you to consume the content. So here I'm just sharing my journey. I have a new series that I'm doing, and it's called The Daily Dose of Mindset. And I've actually been doing that since it's been a couple of months now. And I post a video every single day, and they're anywhere between 2 to 5 minutes. They kind of lean more towards towards closer to two, but they're just these little daily doses of mindset to help you out in your journey because I do believe that the mindset is the most important part, right? And so, check those out, see what you think. And it's a playlist. So if you're someone that doesn't like short content, it's okay. It'll just put the playlist on and and they'll keep going. I'm looking down here because I have notes. Recently, well, it was either Wednesday or I'm trying to remember the exact day. Either Tuesday or Wednesday, I had a physical with my main provider. Now, this is my doctor that's outside of the VA. I'm not super happy with the care that I get. So, this is why I have also a doctor on the outside. And so, I've been seeing her um, maybe about 7 years now. And I just go once a year. Well, when I met with her this time, so last year, this time, she was aware that I was on Zepbound because, of course, I'm going to let her know everything. And that was the extent of it, just making sure, just kind of letting her know that I was on it. So when I went back, obviously, I've had I lost 57 pounds. So when I had my blood work done, everything is in the excellent range, which is great. And that's significant. So, what I did is I asked her if she would be willing to take over managing my Zepbound prescription. And she said yes. So, what I showed her was my Instagram with all of my meals so she could see, right? This is the way that I'm eating consistently. I'm getting enough and all of my workouts, which she's a doctor that's big on that, moving your body. and, eating a balanced diet. Now, she isn't necessarily pro vegan, but the fact that I'm getting enough protein and iron, she's fine, she's fine with that. So, yeah, if you maybe initially tried to get your provider to prescribe it and they weren't on board, my advice is document what you're doing. You don't have to put it on the internet for people to see. You can take pictures and just have it on your phone, or you can have a journal or a notebook. I know I could write these things down, but I take a picture. It's real for me that way, and I'm able to show someone because you could write down just anything, right? So if you had a doctor that wasn't necessarily on board and you've been on it a while, maybe go back and revisit it with them and see if they'll take over your prescription. So now I don't have to worry about paying a monthly fee for the telehealth service, paying for a doctor's visit. Now it was worth it and I did what I needed to do. And if she had said no, then that's what I would have continued to do. But this is just a way of saving more money, especially for those that are paying out of pocket for these medications. So now I don't have that extra, branch with my healthcare. I have just my primary doctor and then the VA. So that's my 2 cents of advice about that. It is very important to move your body. Figure out how you want to do that, what's going to be sustainable for you, and just stick with it. There are going to be plenty of days where you don't feel like it. That's just the truth. Sometimes we start off motivated, sometimes you're not motivated and you just got to jump into it anyway. And you need to find other things other than the scale to assess progress. For example, I'm not struggling getting in and out of the car anymore. I'm not out of breath from going up a couple of flights of stairs, right? When I wake up in the morning, I'm not in this extreme amount of pain. You know, I can do activities with my family, with my husband, without being the Debbie Downer that's always in pain or just wants to go home and eat, right? That was kind of what I lived to do. And to give you an example of that, when I went into basic training from high school, I got through basic training by looking forward to the next meal. So when we woke up in the morning, I'm excited to get up because I know we're about to go eat, have breakfast. Then all the different activities and the drills and stuff that we were doing, I'm fine. I was getting through it by the next meal. So I'm looking forward to lunch. So then when lunch comes, the next thing I'm looking forward to is dinner. So when I tell you that I constantly thought about food, and this is back like when I went into the military, when I graduated, I was 112 pounds. And, when I finished basic, I was up to 118. So I put on a little bit of muscle back then. But my point is, this food stuff has always been a thing for me. It just wasn't something that other people could see because I was skinny. Um, so my goal with this journey was being healthy. And I feel like it's safe to say that I am healthy. My blood work, my blood pressure, all of that shows that of someone who is healthy, right? And so, yeah, I'm smaller, but it's more about health than anything else. Playlists. I have a variety of playlists that you can go through that kind of show you everything. I have one playlist titled Daily Dose of Mindset, and that has 66 videos. So basically, I've been doing this daily dose of mindset for 66 days straight. And then I have the maintenance series, which has 36 weeks or 30, yeah, 36 videos. This will actually be the 37th, which shows you I've been in maintenance for 37 weeks. I have a playlist that is the actual weight loss journey. Now, I didn't start making videos until week 4. So there are 24 videos in that playlist. I recently created one. It's called Zepbound 101 that only has one video and it's actually taken from a live stream that I did and it's over the portion of me going through the Lilly website talking about Zepbound, how you're supposed to use it, when you go up, the side effects, all of that. So check that out if you're interested. And then there's another playlist titled Interviews, which are the different interviews that I've done. And I've only been interviewed by Downsizing Diva and The Downsized. I've had 2 interviews with The Downsized. And then there's another video in that playlist that has a joint live that I did with The Downsized and The Downsizing Diva. So that was pretty nice. So there's a lot of videos, there's a lot of content here for you to filter through and take what works and then leave what doesn't. And that's another thing. There are a lot of people creating content on this medication. Everyone has their own way of doing things. So, if I could give you a bit of advice, it would be you got to have to filter some of that stuff out. Okay. Everybody has their own way of doing it. There are people who believe it's okay to not eat for a few days and then try to make up for it. I don't recommend that. And I actually strongly disagree with that. As a vegan that eats a whole food plant based diet, I don't supplement with anything and I'm getting adequate protein. So it's possible. It's definitely possible to do. I go live weekly every Monday, and that'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I encourage you to join those. We have a great community here, and there are lots of helpful people. So if there's something that you're struggling with, I want you to know that you're not alone. So we'll talk about mindset tips, and we'll go through Q and A's, and it's your chance to ask me anything you want to ask me in the community. And it's definitely a helpful community. I have a membership, and we have 18 members now. And I just recently started doing members only live streams, and that'll be on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, 2 live streams. The one on Monday is for everybody, the one on Thursday is for members only. So, my goal is to foster a community, a space where people feel comfortable sharing their journeys and they're learning things. This medication is incredible and it's definitely life changing. And as long as you focus on more than just a number on the scale, like how you feel, you know, if you're diabetic, is your A1C improving? How are you feeling? Like these are things that you can hold on to that'll keep you going because you're going to get to a point where that scale stays the same. And you just have to know that things are changing even if you don't see it on that number. If you're on your own Zepbound journey, I want you to remember that transformation doesn't happen overnight. Consistency is the real force. So keep going, even when it's hard, even if you feel like nothing's happening. Keep going. And as always, remember, we can share our journeys, but we should never compare them. Bye.